I tried putting off talking about politics because I feel like politics it just gets to you after a while. You know, you cover it a lot, and it's kind of like covering a lot of Predator content. Like, if you cover too much of it, it gets to you. But I feel like this is extremely important, and I feel like Trump is a massive threat to this country every single day that he exists in office, and is constantly putting people's lives at risk, and especially with ICE being basically his personal Gestapo that he gets to use to raid people, to deport them without due process, and then basically murdering anybody that they wish just because they deem them as a threat, not because they're actually a threat. So, yeah, listen, I know I got a comment recently on YouTube saying, like, please don't make your channel political. I have a couple of things to say to that. One, I've been covering politics for a decent amount of time on this channel. Like, I started uploading on this channel 6 months ago, which is half a year ago. And occasionally, I still cover politics. Like, as far back as, like, August, I covered, like, Sam Hyde, and that's pretty political. He's, like, a white supremacist. So, like, I do political content on this channel. Now, I understand if you don't want to tune into my political content as much. If you're not as interested in it, that's totally fine. You know, I'm not forcing anybody to tune into political content. But also, like, if you really, really don't want me doing political content, I'm going to be real with you, unsubscribe. Unsubscribe from the channel. Maybe I'm not the content creator for you. Because I am going to keep talking about politics. I get it. Politics sucks, and there's a lot of really bad shit that's happening in politics, and it gets to you after a while, and you can't consume it all the time. But I do feel like it's important to talk about. And listen, if you're not a fan of that, I may not be the channel for you. You guys can feel free to unsubscribe. You guys can, like, go watch somebody else who will cover more drama slop. Maybe you can go watch, like, Nicholas Dioria or something. Like, I still am going to cover drama slop, but, like, I do think politics is, like, important to talk about every once in a while. We've got a video on Moist Critical, and this is regarding the recent ICE shooting that happened with, what's his name? Alex Pretty? Is that his name? Or Pretty? Basically, he was a guy that, like, intervened when, like, an ICE officer was, like, pushing a woman. Like, we're about to see a video on it. But yeah, ICE murdered somebody else literally weeks after Renee Good was shot by ICE.
We're talking about something very serious today. Throughout the video, you're going to see my shirt changes. It's not some kind of, like, crazy, wacky, you know, magic trick from America's Got Talent or anything.
Whoa, crazy.
I actually filmed this video earlier this morning when the story first broke. It's the killing of Alex Pretty in Minnesota at the hands of border agents, and I made the video. But
I mean, at this point, if you guys watched my Andrew Callahan coverage of this, it was like basically what Minnesota looked like after Renee Good was shot by ICE, and everybody was like protesting there. Everybody was trying to show ICE, and yet another person was shot by ICE right then and there. Yeah, which is Alex Pretty, because he intervened with a woman getting pushed onto the fucking ICE. I feel like at this point, like, ICE are a domestic terrorist organization. Like, they're not law enforcement. Like, people can call them law enforcement all they want. I guess officially they're part of, like, a law enforcement branch, but they are not law enforcement. They hardly enforce the law. They rob people without due process. They are constantly a threat to people every single day that passes in this country.
I was pretty heated, and I wanted to kind of simmer down and take a break, so I went out before posting it. I just got home, and now even more angles and videos have been released that show beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is a 100% unjustified killing of an American citizen here. And it seems like the execution stems from them finding out that he had a gun on his person. His second...
Well, to be honest with you, I think a lot of people that join law enforcement agencies... And listen, I've had, like, sympathy for cops in the past because being a cop is not an easy job. You see a lot of bad shit, like, every single day, and that is part of the job. But, like, I feel like people that join ICE specifically were people that were bullied in high school. They were bullied in high school, and then they tried to have, like, an authoritarian complex. And they joined ICE, and now they, like, they feel this need to make other people miserable. I legitimately think those are the kinds of people that join ICE.
Amendment rights. In all of the videos that exist, there is not a single moment where he is reaching for the gun, brandishing it, threatening with it, or anything at all, and we have video that shows the entire interaction from start to finish. His name was Alex Preddy, a 37-year-old nurse who worked in the ICU at Minneapolis VA healthcare system, and according to the police chief, he is a U.S. citizen with no prior interactions with law enforcement outside of a couple of traffic tickets, and believed to be a lawful gun owner with a permit to carry. So for him to lose his life being shot multiple times by these agents, all because of him exercising his Second Amendment rights, which again, he wasn't trying to use as an intimidation tactic on the officers or anything like that. When they were beating him on the ground, pistol whipping him on the ground, they happened to see that he had a gun, apparently. He wasn't throwing it at them as like a threat or something, or brandishing it or anything. He simply had it on him, which he was well within his right to do, and he got murdered for it.
So, a conversation that we are going to need to have here is that, like, the Second Amendment right was originally made in case we live in an authoritarian government. Just saying. Like, having a gun on you as long as you did it with legally, like, you are legally within your right to have the firearm. Now, obviously, is it inappropriate to be walking around, like, down the street of New York on, like, a normal day with, like, an AR-15? Yes, that is that's inappropriate. And also, like, that is, like, that could be threatening, you know what I mean? But, like, if you're at, like, a protest setting, like, it makes sense given how fucking crazy the world is. And it's not like this guy was brandishing a firearm or was gonna kill anybody.
This is completely unacceptable, and the fucking drones that are somehow, like parading around like this is some kind of victory or something is sickening.
Asmongold, probably.
It should be.
Considering Asmongold is totally fine with justifying the murder of Renee Good because he is a very emotional person, despite the fact that he dismisses left-leaning arguments as emotional.
Be viewed as treasonous by any real Americans when you see this footage. And they had the gall to say that Alex Preddy was like the instigator, labeling him a domestic terrorist I saw from a couple of places, claiming that he approached these agents with a 9mm. He approached them with a gun looking to start shit. But
yeah, that's not what happened. If you watch the video, like there's again, I think Moist Critical is going to show it later in the video, but if you actually watch the video, the ICE officer or the ICE agent pushed a woman into like the ground on like a snowy, icy ground, no pun intended. And then, like, Alex, like, tried to help the woman up, and then he got pepper sprayed by the fucking ICE agent, despite trying to help her up.
That is not true.
Like, I mean, at this point, I think, like, if you look at the definition of a terrorist, like, I feel like it is not disproportionate to say that ICE is a fucking terrorist organization. At this point, they are legitimately domestic terrorists that try to cause terror on other fucking people, and they are an active threat to people every single day that they exist. And they are just a tool used by Donald Trump to try to push the boundaries to see what he can get away with and really try his best to push for, like, a third term or something. Just, like, he's really testing to see what he can get away with. And, like, at this point, like, Trump has been, like, a constant threat to democracy. His administration does not want to hold him accountable. This entire administration is fucking corrupt because they want to suck his old, grimy dick at this point. Like, we live in such a wacky fucking timeline where Trump is escalating the political temperature every single day to distract from the fact that he probably raped kids on Epstein Island, and he doesn't want to that's why he won't release the files, despite running his presidency on promising to release the files.
In all of the videos you see, he has a phone in his hands. Not a gun in his hands, he has a phone in his hands. No sane person would ever mistake a phone for a gun. This is blatantly obvious what they're trying to do. And it's something they've been doing a lot recently. Trying to tell you that what you're seeing isn't real. Trust their words, not your eyes. That is completely fucking outrageous, and people are willingly doing it. That's the craziest part. There are people that...
Honestly, like, I think that Moist Critical in the past has had very milquetoast takes that I haven't really enjoyed as much, like, due to audience capture. But, like, shout out to Moist Critical for actually, like, willing to call out MAGA more. Like, it's honestly, like, we need somebody, like, with as big of a platform as Moist Critical calling out MAGA more. I think it's just very... It's fucking outrageous what they are doing. And, like, it's outrageous what ICE is doing, because ICE is a legitimate domestic terrorist organization. They are just murdering. They can get away with murdering basically anybody. And that's the precedent that we've set. Because who's going to be next this year? Like, if it's not going to stop at these two people, who else is ICE going to murder?
They're like, oh, I saw he had his phone, but if they say it was a gun, well, that must have been a gun. I cannot believe we've reached this level of brainwashing.
And that's another thing that Moist Critical just brought up. The fact that we have to explain how this is a murder to conservatives is fucking mind-boggling to me. Unfortunately, and I know people are going to there's going to be people out there that are going to get furious at this. A lot of conservatives are fucking stupid. And I'm sorry. You can get angry at me saying that. But we have Twitter, right, where you can say something that is blatantly misinformation or disinformation, and the worst case scenario is maybe you'll get community noted. Because there's no regulations on Twitter. Elon Musk doesn't give a shit. He is like the #1 pusher of disinformation on his own platform. You can say something, you could try to hold ICE accountable, and you could try to, like, say something about them. But the problem is that, like, Twitter is primarily a right-leaning platform, and Elon Musk artificially inflates your algorithm so that you constantly get right-leaning shit. So even if you say, don't recommend this shit to me, you're still going to inevitably get right-wing shit in your feed, because that's just how Twitter is unfortunately programmed. It is inherently a right-leaning platform. So there's a lot of misinformation, and unfortunately, no one is willing to think past, like, 2 or 3 fucking steps for themselves to actually do their due diligence to verify the information that comes up in their feed. So if some right-leaning person says some fucking garbage that is misinformation, nobody's willing to look into it, and, like, they just take it as a fact. They see whatever is in their feed as a fact. And so, like, a lot of people are just not willing to do their fucking due diligence. So the fact that we have to explain that this is a murder to people, we have to go by frame to explain how it's a murder, is fucking ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Even with Renee Good, people were justifying it and saying, oh, but she tried to run over the ICE agent. Not true. She tried to drive away from the scene. She didn't try to run over the ICE officer at all. Anyone who says she tried to run over the ICE officer is fucking coping, and they are delusional. They are fucking stupid and delusional, and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about at all. She was trying to drive away, and then the ICE officer pulled out his pistol. He was not even threatened by her presence whatsoever, and he shot her as she was driving away. He was obviously more concerned with killing her than he was for his own safety. And by the way, as an ICE officer, you're not supposed to stand in front of a vehicle. You're not trained to do that. And now with this guy, who just had his phone out, and he was helping out the woman who got pushed on, like, literally, I don't know if this is the same thing, but, like, literally, like, this guy right here, yeah, there's a video right here. The guy tried to help a woman that was pushed onto the ground by ICE. Like, what even warranted ICE to push her onto the ground anyways? And as the guy was trying to help her up, ICE fucking pepper sprayed him when he was trying to help her up. It's fucking ridiculous. You know, people talk about left-wing violence all the time. People virtue signal that the left is violent and that the left is more violent than the right. No, you have our government that is ran by the insane right, and you have idiots that will run defense for the right being insanely more violent, and this is no different. This is our government, who is the insane right, and ICE is controlled by the insane right. That is our government. Right here. Trump is the #1 escalator for political violence, and the truth is that our government does not care. They do not care. Trump actually wants violence to happen in this country, so people stop talking about him being a fucking pedophile on the Epstein list, which, by the way, a lot of conservatives also seem to not have a problem with. We went from bullshit cancellations online from the far left back in 2020 or 2021, but then you have, like, the status quo completely changing now, where you have fucking Nick Fuentes and Megyn Kelly saying that, like, 15 and 16-year-olds are basically adults, and it's technically not pedophilia. And if that's a conversation you wish to have to split hairs on how what Jeffrey Epstein did was sex trafficking crimes, if you feel like splitting hairs with that, chances are that is a take that a fucking pedophile would give themselves. And unfortunately, a lot of people seem to be okay with it and defending it. That's where we're at. That is, unfortunately, the reality of where we are at now, currently, in this fucking country. It is fucking stupid. It is fucking ridiculous that people can just sit here and just allow this shit to happen and constantly make excuse after excuse after excuse. There is no standards on the right. The right constantly gets a fucking slap on the wrist. But, like, if a left-leaning person or a leftist, they quote-unquote leftist, because, like, a far leftist to a right-leaning person is just saying that, like, gay people or women people have, like, deserve to have rights. Like, that could be considered far left to the right. Suddenly, now, it warrants all this shit. And then, don't even get me started with the fucking centrists as well. Don't even get me started with centrists. Dude, centrists are... I'm sorry. If you're a centrist in 2025 or 2026, you are a conservative. You are in between the normal left and the insane right. The narrative is dominated by the insane right. Not normal right-leaning people, the insane right. The batshit fucking crazy right that is running our country. Far leftist extremism boils down to disproportionate cancellations online. Or like fucking canceling people and screaming out into the fucking void on social media. That's really what far left extremism boils down to. Far right extremism boils down to literal neo-Nazism, white supremacy, wanting to take over Greenland, supporting disproportionately and indiscriminately bombing other countries. That is what far right extremism is, essentially. Oh, and defending pedophilia, apparently now. If you're Nick Fuentes, who says that 15 and 16-year-olds are basically old enough, and that's technically not pedophilia, which... There are times to have that conversation when it comes to bullshit cancellations online, but this is not one of those, because the behavior from Jeffrey Epstein and Trump and anyone who attended that island is so unbelievably egregious that it's not worth having that conversation. It is fucking bad. It is bad. And the fact that people can just sit here and run defense for this garbage is fucking outlandish to me. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. We're probably going to have the runtime of this video go off heavily, but it is just fucking insane that people can just, like, sit here and run defense for this bullshit.
There are so many angles of this, and in every single one of them, you can see he has his phone in his hand, and at no point during this interaction did he ever, like, pull a gun on them or anything. And in fact, in one of the angles, you can even clearly see that the agents actually took the gun from him prior to him being shot. You can actually see what looks to be one of the agents disarming him, taking the gun out of its holster and running away with the gun prior to him being shot.
Yeah, literally, like, this guy is being restrained on the ground. Dude, I hate that we have to go by frame, because it's so stupid that, like, we see a murder right before our eyes, and then you have right-wing people being like, oh, but, like, he was obviously a threat, he was armed or whatever. This guy pulled out a fucking gun when he wasn't even a threat. He's on the ground, he's restrained, there's other ICE officers, and there's other quote-unquote law enforcement restraining him. He pulls out his gun when there's no active threat. He pulls out his gun right here when there's no threat at all, even. Guys, remember weeks ago when Renee Good got shot, people were being like, oh, the guy was self-defending himself. The ICE agent was self-defense because she was trying to run him over. She wasn't trying to run him over. Again, you're coping if you think that. She was trying to drive away, right? But they used the excuse, oh, but she was trying to run him over. This guy is not in any threat at all. His life is not in danger in any way at all. Neither was the guy weeks ago. But there's no ambiguity in this clip at all. So why did he pull out his pistol here? Why? All the other ICE agents were restraining him. Yep, and there you go. Shot.
And if that wasn't definitive, there is something even more clear that I think is completely irrefutable for anyone that's actually looking. An agent takes Alex's gun out of its holster in front of the agent that pulls out his gun and shoots him. so he can see the gun has been taken out of the holster. And it is clear.
And that makes it even worse because then he's not a threat. They can't use the excuse, oh, but he had a gun on him. The gun was taken away from the holster. How does the right justify this? I don't get it. Money. It's gotta be money. I swear to God, you have idiot right-wing influencers online or people that go to right-wing groups. You have people like Kirsch, who's a fucking VTuber that is like a wannabe that wants to be in Asmongold and Tectone space, but she's not relevant enough. Like, literally, if you listen to the sound of her voice, she sounds like she was, like, bullied in middle school, and then that's probably why she's, like, does this whole pick-me. Like, she's like a pick-me VTuber. By the way, Kirsch has also defended Lolicon, by the way. That's another thing, which I guess checks out, because a lot of right-wingers seem to be totally fine with pedophilia at this point. You have fucking people that are like, oh my god, these people are like cosplaying as revolutionaries or whatever. Then you have ICE, who are killing people indiscriminately because they want to enact their violent fantasies. So at this point, I don't want to hear that the left is more violent than the right. I don't want to hear it. I mean, we didn't need more confirmation because the statistics has proven time and time again that it's always right-wing violence that's more prevalent. And it's not even close. Statistics literally prove that. But this is right here proof that we don't need any more fucking proof here. That, like, essentially, this is, again, clear as day as a murder. There's now 2 murders that ICE is engaged in. At this point, they are a domestic terrorist organization. Like, what else can we say?
Alex Preddy has both hands on the ground. He does not have a gun in them. And an agent reaches in and takes it out of the holster right before another agent pulls out his firearm and shoots him in the back.
Honestly.
Just in case you somehow missed it, look, the agent in gray has his hand on Alex's weapon, which is still holstered. It was never unholstered. This agent takes it out of its holster before he runs away with it, and the officer right next to him is the one that pulls out his gun and shoots him.
I think, again, the fact that we have to go by frame to explain how this is indefensible is fucking crazy to me because we're basically babying conservatives because of how stupid a lot of them are. A lot of them are very dumb, and they don't want to view it here. Literally, this is... I'm getting so fucking triggered just talking about this. This is fucking insane. It is fucking outlandish to me that people can just sit here and run defense for this.
And now I want to show you the clearest video that shows everything that happened here and how it doesn't go how the authorities are saying that it did. That was Alex Preddy you saw walk by the camera right there. He has his phone in his hand, and then with his other hand, his open hand, no gun in it, is waving cars through. There is clearly no brandishing of a firearm here. He is not approaching agents with a gun or anything like that, and you will never see anything even remotely...
At this point, God, I was about to say something that was about to get me banned off this platform. I don't think I'm not trying to risk it. I already have a warning on this channel, because of a fucking thumbnail that I had. Yeah, I can't say what I want to say or else I'm going to get banned off this platform or I'm going to get, like, a community guideline strike, and I don't want to risk it, so... I can't say what I want to say what should happen to ICE. Just to be clear. I think, at the bare minimum, that ICE officer who shot Alex Preddy should lose out on any pension deal. He should be immediately fired. He should be on administrative leave. At the bare minimum, Trump's not going to do that, and the reason why Trump's not going to do that is because the reality is the Trump administration does not care, and they actually are totally fine with people being fucking violent to other people in this country. That's just the unfortunate reality. They are totally fine with this administration doing what they're doing.
Close to that happen.
Go. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Like, what the hell is this? Look at this. Look at this. This woman was not doing anything. This woman isn't doing anything, and this ICE officer just pushes her into the snow. Why? Why? And he tries to help her. By the way, if you look at that other frame, right? Let's go back. This guy, oh my god, sorry, it keeps cutting out. Pushes her. There's no justification for that. This guy tries to help her up. He tries to help her up, and they gets pepper sprayed. They get fucking pepper sprayed for just trying to help that woman up. They're not even assaulting the quote-unquote law enforcement, but they're not really law enforcement. They are the Gestapo. They are Trump's personal SS. That is where we are at. I do not care if people find that cringe. I do not care if people think that I'm being disproportionate. I don't care. That is the reality of the situation that is happening right now. ICE is murdering people, whoever they want, and they can seemingly get away with it because Trump has set this precedent where that first guy who murdered Renee Good, he totally got a slap on the wrist. And now I assume that this guy is going to get a slap on the wrist. I think at the bare minimum, he should have been on administrative leave or something. But that's not even what happened. They're not going to do that because the reality is Trump doesn't care. They don't care.
You can again see Alex Preddy has his phone in his hand, and now he's trying to get some of the civilians away from these fucking worms that are now starting to push them. And then one of them got pepper sprayed, and then he got pepper sprayed as well. And when he gets pepper sprayed, you can see his hand shoots in the air like a student about to try and ask the teacher a question. It is a wide open palm. There's no weapon in that hand, and in his other hand is still the phone. There is no gun anywhere here. And now this is when he starts getting beaten by the multiple officers there.
The fuck, people! The fuck is wrong with you? Honestly!
I'm going to stop the video right here because this is when Alex Preddy gets shot to death. This fucking subhuman coward, you can see, pulls out his firearm and...
Oh yeah, and notice how all ICE agents are masked? You want to talk about cowards? ICE agents, they're all masked. And I wonder why they're all masked. It's because they're fucking terrified of being identified. They're terrified, and they're scared. And also, they get overcompensated, for no fucking reason whatsoever. They get a good pension deal. They get tons of money while they're on duty and stuff. For no fucking reason. It literally, they can just do whatever the fuck that they want, essentially.
Shoots him in the back and then shoots him multiple times after as Alex Preddy lies on the ground. You can hear one of the agents says gun, and that's when this brain-dead troglodyte pulls out his firearm and starts shooting into Alex while he was still surrounded by his boys, mind you. This is the antithesis to all training that agents go through, by the way, to shoot into a suspect while still being surrounded.
Which, by the way, again, same thing as as with Renee Good. That ICE officer with Renee Good is not trained to put himself in danger in front of a vehicle that's moving. He pulled out his pistol before he moved away from the vehicle's direction. That is the same thing. ICE officers are not trained to do any of this, but they still do. And, at this point, I'm just fucking angry because it's how could somebody be a centrist in all this? You have Charlie Kirk who gets shot, and not to say that you shouldn't speak up about that, but you have people like Shoe on Head who fucking cosplays and is a fucking moron and cosplays just because she tries to guzzle to the side that is more profitable, which is right-wingers. But she postures as a centrist to quote-unquote seem smarter, and she speaks up about Charlie Kirk, but when it comes to two people getting murdered in broad fucking daylight, Shoe on Head has absolutely nothing to say about that. And it's because she wants to posture as a centrist that doesn't ever criticize the right, because she's too much of a fucking coward to criticize the right. I mean, she's too scared to lose out on some of her audience, but will criticize the left way more because, it's easier to dunk on the left. I'm just saying, if you are a centrist, at all during this time, you are a conservative. Just to be clear, you are in between the insane right and the normal left. There is hardly any far left extremism that is going on. Literally, our government, in total, there is not nearly as much far left extremism now compared to some of the the countries that Trump wants to take over, like Greenland and stuff, and the countries that Trump is trying to shatter our relations with in Europe. It makes no fucking sense. People cannot say that far-left extremism is worse. Like, in every way imaginable, right-wing extremism is just worse. In every way imaginable. Right-wing extremism is life-threatening. Left-wing extremism is just dumb idiots that scream on social media and, like, do bullshit cancellations. That's where we're at. Like, right-wing extremism is much more dangerous. You have fucking people that are defending pedophilia. You have people that want to, like, defend taking over other countries like Greenland and indiscriminately bombing other countries and ruining our relationships to our allies. And you also have white supremacy that's also defended as well, with people like fucking Nick Fuentes and shit. It's crazy that the goalpost is constantly shifted.
By authorities, you're going to get your own people shot too, by the way, you fucking moron, you unbelievable homunculus. So he immediately starts dumping into Alex because someone said gun. But the gun, from the other angles we can see, had already been taken.
Oh, but God forbid a kid somebody reads drag, or like a drag person reads to like a kindergarten class, or like a fucking group of kids. God forbid somebody read, like a drag person, or somebody introduces the idea that being gay is a thing, or that like being born in the right body, being born not in the right body was like a thing, to like a bunch of like kindergartners or whatever. God forbid that idea gets introduced. Meanwhile, you have literal fucking pedophiles in office that conservatives constantly run defense for.
Taken away from Alex.
And I don't want to hear the dumb argument of, oh, but the left purity tests people too much. That is not exclusively a left-leaning issue. We could talk about purity testing on the left. It definitely is a problem in far leftist spaces. I'm not as concerned with that because it is not exclusively a left-leaning issue. You have people on the right where if you don't like Donald Trump, if you don't like every single thing that Trump does, you get purity tested for that too. You are basically ousted from the entirety of the conservative party if you don't like Trump. Or if you criticize Trump at all. Why do you think Ben Shapiro, I don't think Ben Shapiro is a stupid person. I don't agree with like a majority of what he says. I don't think he's a stupid person. But when, like, Ben Shapiro was giving some criticisms to Trump, he was tiptoeing heavy on it. He was, like, very much tiptoeing it, and he was very careful about it because he knew if he criticized Trump way too much that his audience would eat him alive for it. He is very conservative audience captured, and, like, purity testing exists on the right as well. It is not exclusively a left-leaning issue. There is an insane double standard on the right. There's a massively insane double standard where, like, you constantly can, like, run defense for the right and, like, be super charitable to them at every single turn, no matter how much they fuck up. But a left-leaning person, God forbid they mess up, like, once, just once. And suddenly conservatives, they all fucking dogpile. They all use it as an opportunity to virtue signal in their little fucking echo chambers. It is fucking nuts. It is insane how much bullshit that they constantly hand wave again and again and again.
Out of his holster, you can see one of the other agents running away with it. But again, he was never brandishing this firearm. And as an American citizen with Second Amendment rights and a lawful gun owner by all available information, he was allowed to have that gun on his person. It is not grounds to execute a man because you fucking freaked out and panicked because the guy you were beating and pistol whipping with fucking 5 of your friends happened to be armed.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is a whole conversation, right? I don't know if any of you guys have read the book called The Outsiders. I'm gonna pull one scene. And the reason why I'm gonna do that, hopefully you guys will understand it. In the Outsiders book, there's a character's name, his name is Dallas. That's his name. And he was kind of a kid who grew up without, like, I believe without parents, or I think he had, like, an abusive father. I could be wrong. I don't know, like, the entirety of his backstory, but he was kind of a troubled guy growing up, right? And he was very frustrated with somebody dying in his life, and he took it out on cops, basically. So, like, obviously, this guy's a troubled kid. He points the gun at, like, a store owner, and he robs him from money. He gets the cops called on him. The cops go after him. The cops actually wind up catching Dallas. And the cops in that situation point a gun at him, right? They're not, like, threatening to shoot. Well, I mean, they are threatening to shoot him, sorry. They don't kill him right then and there. But they're like, freeze, put your hands up, do, like, typical police things. And Dallas pulls out his gun and points it to the officer. At that point, like, the reason I'm using this example, right, is because at that point, unfortunately, Dallas is a threat to the cops, and the cops cannot bank on the fact that they can't take the chance that Dallas might shoot one of the cops and kill one of the cops, potentially. They can't take that chance. And so, if a police officer kills somebody in that instance, that would be a form of self-defense, right? And that's where it gets to be more of like a gray area. I can understand that. In this situation, you have Alex Preddy, who just had a gun on him in his holster. He wasn't brandishing the gun at all. Like, as long as he owns that firearm legally, he went through all the documentation process and everything. As long as he owns that firearm legally and it's registered and everything, then he is well within his right to have that gun holstered on him. He is well within his right to do that. But instead, ICE sees him as a threat, and when he was on the ground, one of the ICE officers already confiscated one of his firearms, but the ICE officer, even after confiscation, still shot him and killed him. Because why not, I guess. But sure, you'll have people like Asmongold being like, "Rip bozo," and then Asmongold fucking celebrates the death of it. Centrists who pose as centrists, but you are the insane right. You are part of the far-right extremist loop. Just to be clear, that is the reality of the situation.
He wasn't using it to try and, like, shoot anyone here or threaten them. They saw the gun, and then this guy just freaked out and murdered him. Shot him multiple times. This is indefensible. Completely indefensible. And the fact that they even took him to the ground in the first place and started beating him, with one guy pistol whipping him, by the way. In other angles, you can see a guy just, like, pistol whipping him like he's trying to hammer a nail in with his gun. Like, it should have never even been acceptable for that to happen. All Alex Preddy was doing was filming, and then when some civilians started getting pushed, he tried to help. And when one got pepper sprayed, he tried to help. From all available angles and evidence and videos here, it seems to be that's all he was doing. He even made an effort to try and show that he's not like a threat or something. Like, he threw his arm in the air, wide open, nothing in his hand or anything. He wasn't fighting back against the officers. He got taken to the ground and then immediately started getting beaten.
He got beaten and then he got shot. Because, again, we have to remember, ICE agents, if you become an ICE agent, you were probably bullied in high school. You probably didn't even graduate high school. You were probably bullied in high school, and you have, like, an authoritarian complex, and you just want to take it out on the world. I'm convinced that's what a majority of ICE agents are. They become fucking authoritarian, and they feel the need to express that onto the world in very unproductive ways. And I wish every single ICE agent has their partner, whether it's a wife or a girlfriend, get plowed by another fucking guy every single day. I hope that happens to them, because honestly, fuck them.
Because he was fucking filming and trying to help other people around there, it seems. This is so fucking sickening. And the freaks that are cheering this on and parading around like this is something to be celebrated are just scum. You're not even American. You're a fucking drone if you actually think this is a good thing. All you care about...
It's just being pro-Trump. It's being pro-Trump. If you support Trump, I actually legitimately think if you support Trump, you are anti-America. At this point, Trump is doing everything to turn this country not American. Like, literally making the country most un-American as it can be. At this point. Like, I mean, you have Trump who pardoned, like, all the January 6ers, and if you attended January 6th, you are a traitor to you are absolutely a traitor to America, and you do not deserve citizenship here whatsoever if you attended January 6th. If you tried to storm the Capitol based off of a fucking lie that the election was stolen. So, yeah. I mean, at this point, like, Trump is very un-American, and you guys are like, you're not American, you are pro-Trump.
It's just like sucking wiener from the authorities now all of a sudden. You care more about just being on a team than you do thinking for yourself. It's fucking tragic. It is embarrassing. This is crazy now that...
Honestly, fucking W moist critical take, honestly. I'm very glad that he's calling this shit out, because it absolutely deserves to be called out.
I'm seeing people justify this guy's murder because he had a weapon.
The weapon was confiscated. The weapon was it is always some more... Dude, every time I make... Like, when I was making shorts calling out Asmongold for justifying the death of Renee Good, when I was making shorts calling out Asmongold, I was getting such moron right-wingers in my comments section saying that, oh, she was a threat. She was running him over. She wasn't running him over. Look at the video. Watch the video. She was trying to drive away. Watch the video. You could see the wheels turn away from the direction of that ICE agent. In this case, the gun had already been confiscated from Alex, and it's not like he was gonna reach and pick up his gun anyways. He was already getting the shit beaten out of him by a bunch of other ICE agents anyway. Like, people were like, no, Renee Good was not good in this situation, or, oh, he was not good in this situation. Based off what? Based off what? Based off what? Please, explain it to me. Because if this is some garbage centrist take that you're giving, you are on the side of the insane right. I'm sorry. You are part of the insane fucking right. I don't care if I'm disproportionate. I do not give a fuck. You deserve that disproportionate criticism. I don't care. I don't even think it's disproportionate. I say it's disproportionate, but I don't give a fuck. If you are a centrist, you guzzle conservative cum. That's what you do.
Wake the fuck up. This is America. You can carry weapons. I sometimes carry a gun in public. I have friends who every day carry. It is your right as an American to carry a firearm if you so choose.
Yeah, as long as it's like holstered. There's obviously like a lot of gray areas with it. Like if you go on private property that says that you can't bring a gun in here, like that gets into like whole gray areas. But again, he had the gun holstered. It's not like Alex was like brandishing the gun or waving it around and like threatening people or whatever. He had it holstered, probably for self-defense. Like it's not like he was an active threat to the scene at all. He was helping up a woman who got pushed onto a ground unprompted by ICE.
That is not grounds for a murder. And based on all of the video footage, all of the available evidence, this guy was not brandishing it or anything like that. Thus, he wasn't threatening anyone or about to shoot someone with it, so they had to kill him to stop him. That doesn't seem to be the case. They're now just using the fact that he had a gun as a justification to kill him. That should be extremely alarming to anyone who cares about 2A. Like, again, him having it should not be an issue. And any real, actual American, like a real patriot, should be arguing for his right to carry, because it is something that we have the right to do, and that should not be a justification for this man being killed by these agents. This point that they're trying to beat into the empty minds of a lot of people that are trying so hard to justify it is that the only people being...
Because they're MAGA, and they want to, like, guzzle right-wing cum. That's, like, literally it. It's money guzzling right-wing cum, trying to distract from the fact that their fucking king that they guzzle for and run defense for is a pedophile that they like to run defense for. They, obviously, like, I'm convinced that a lot of, like, centrists or far-right people... Like, I'm very convinced at this point that they don't actually care about children getting harmed, because if they did, they would call out Trump for it, but a lot of them don't. They run defense for it and make excuses for him.
Arrested.
Like Asmongold. Like, Asmongold virtue signals about pedophiles or children getting harmed all the time. He virtue signals about it all the time. I legitimately don't think that Asmongold cares that children get harmed at all. I actually legitimately don't think he cares. And I say that because he's aligning himself with Nick Fuentes and Sneeko as of recently. Like, Asmongold's trying to align himself with Nick Fuentes and Sneeko. Nick Fuentes thinks that 15 and 16-year-olds are basically old enough. He downplayed what Jeffrey Epstein was doing on Epstein Island. And then you have Nick Sneeko, who for years, even before Trump, like, ran his second term, Sneeko for years was for the longest time saying that it was okay for 13-year-olds and 21-year-olds to get married as long as the 13-year-old went through puberty once. That's Sneeko's take. He has justified children getting married to adults for the longest time. And then Asmongold, obviously not seemingly caring that Trump is a pedophile on the Epstein list. He doesn't seem to give a shit about that whatsoever. Like, literally, he constantly makes excuses for it. I don't think Asmongold actually cares that children... Like, I don't think he cares about pedophilia, quite frankly. And also, like, he's very much adjacent to, like, Nux Taku and Kirsch, who have, like, defended Lolly in the past as well. Apparently Tectone has also, like, defended Lolly as well, and, like, those are the spheres that they exist in. So, I really don't think that Asmongold cares, truthfully. I don't think he gives a fuck.
And targeted by ICE are rapists and pedophile illegal aliens, which is just not the case.
No, they have murdered 2 people who are not illegal immigrants. Renee Good was not an illegal immigrant. Neither was Alex Preddy. They were not illegal immigrants when they got shot. And again, like, they're like, oh, but, like, what's stopping... Like, ICE is just going after illegal immigrants. No, that's a copium answer, and you're not paying attention to the story if that is your answer to what ICE is doing.
There definitely have been rapists and pedophiles that have been snatched up in all of this. And those rapists and pedophiles that have been caught and taken away, that's good.
I feel like it's few and far between. I mean, I'm sure they exist, but I'm pretty sure it's like few and far between. The problem is that a lot of conservatives will use that as like a dog whistle to communicate, oh, all these like rapists and pedophiles, like all illegal immigrants are rapists and pedophiles. But I don't think they, again, I literally just said it. I don't think they care that illegal immigrants commit those things, because the president that they voted for is also a rapist and a pedophile. They don't care. They do not care. It is a virtue signal. It is a virtue signal. This is what people talk about when they talk about horseshoe theory, except the right is insane, like way more insane with it, just to be clear. You know, they virtue signal about, oh, drag people are reading to kids, and that's a form of grooming and all that stuff. But then the president that they vote for, who allows violence at every single turn and is like the number one escalator for political violence, they don't fucking care about that. They do not give a shit. They like downplay. You have Megyn Kelly, who says that 15-year-olds are basically adults. You have Nick Fuentes, who basically said the same thing that Meg Kelly said. They don't care. None of them actually give a shit. They just want to run their own agenda.
They shouldn't be out there breathing the free air. Great. But that's not all that's happening here. You could also right now march into the White House and arrest everyone in the White House, and you would get a ton of rapists and pedophiles. Why isn't that happening? If the goal...
Because Trump ran his presidency off releasing the Epstein files, and then he realized, oh shit, I'm on the Epstein files. Everybody in the administration knows that he's on the Epstein files. Kash Patel lied on oath saying that there's no evidence that Trump is in the Epstein files in any meaningful way. Kash Patel absolutely lying on oath there. They are doing everything they fucking can to filibuster it as much as possible so Trump can stay in office for as long as possible. They're so deep in this corruption ring that they just want to defend it as much as possible and like withhold that information.
Is getting rapists and pedophiles off of American soil, thrown in the slammer, taking them away from society. Why is it only just walking through the fucking streets of Minnesota trying to do it? You would get significantly more rapists and pedophiles if you took ICE and brought them to the White House. An administration is actively covering up a massive child sex trafficking operation and letting tons of evil people get away with this, tons of clients. So if the goal is to get this kind of evil out of this country, why would you not start with what is provably a spot that has so many of them? Also, that belief of like a secret pedophile ring was a very popular one among Trump voters for the longest time. And now that it has been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt to be real, legitimate reality, they are now just ignoring it. They have been proven correct that there was a huge pedophile ring of these powerful...
Because they don't care. Like I said, conservatives they don't actually care that Trump is on the files because they make excuses for each other. And they make excuses for it, and a lot of their values aren't really legitimate values, truthfully. So they're going to shift the goalpost, and they're going to constantly shift it to just make an excuse in the heat of the moment. Everything is a fucking excuse just so they can push their, like, unwavering hatred. I legitimately think that's what it is. They have a victim complex. They've had a victim complex their entire life, and they're going to do whatever they can to, like, fucking push their, like, unprecedented hatred onto people.
Politicians, but because some of their favorite politicians are potentially wrapped up in it, they just want to drop it and forget about it. Absolutely unhinged, by the way. It's crazy. So many people for the longest time were adamant against like government surveillance and Big Brother watching them being a huge concern. Now, plenty of people are welcoming it with open arms and a huge smile on their face. For the longest time, people...
Yeah, Megyn Kelly and Nick Fuentes, like I said. And Asmongold as well, quite frankly. Like, I don't think Asmongold cares about pedophilia as well. And also, a lot of them are aligned with religion. That's like a very conservative thing, more often than not a left-wing thing, where it's like, oh, you know, like, all these left-wing people are insane, but you have these fucking conservatives who go to church every single fucking Sunday, and they metaphorically soak the blood of Jesus fucking Christ, and say that, like, oh, you know, like, pedophilia is acceptable in those circles as well, by the way. And, like, they metaphorically suck the blood of Jesus fucking Christ, and they, like, say that Adam and Eve ate a magical apple, suddenly it hurt to give birth, and like, that's how we were all spawned, because we're the products of fucking incest. Suddenly, like, that's not as insane as just saying, oh, hey, gay people should exist. Oh, hey, you know, like, a kid learning about the concept of, oh, two people that are the same sex can like each other. That's something you're born with anyways. Like, you don't get groomed into being gay or trans. That's not how it works. A lot of people, like, have this, like, weird misconception that, like, you're groomed into these things. That's not how it works at all. You are born with it, generally speaking. You've always had this feeling your entire life. You just discover it one way or another. That's it. That's really all it fucking is. You're not groomed into these ideas. There's no such thing as grooming a kid into believing into these ideas. It's like, it almost never happens. I don't know what to tell you. If you think, like, a lot of these people that virtue signal about it tend to be fucking predators themselves.
Would be
or run defense for it, like with our administration.
Preaching about the importance of the Second Amendment and gun rights. And now, even with this, they're saying, well, he had a gun, which means that's an executable offense. So it seems like they now no longer believe in Americans' right to own guns or carry guns, which was a core component of, like, the right for a long time, where there was, like, this big fear about they're coming for our guns. And now, the same people that were arguing, like, to protect that are now arguing against it, saying, well, this guy deserved to die because he had a gun with him. It's a fundamental right of Americans to have guns, gun ownership. You can carry them in public, too. Like, that, you shouldn't be killed for that. And in the footage here, it doesn't seem like he was brandishing it or anything. And also, the same people that only, like, a year and a half ago were constantly telling you to question the government, that you can't trust anything that comes out of the government, the authorities always lying to you, are now just willingly, blindly, unquestioningly following anything authorities tell them to believe in.
Well, a lot of it stems from the fact that, like, conservatives, I have an uncle who's, like, very conservative. I understand some of it, to be honest with you. Like, there is, like, a whole concept of the media lying to you, the media sensationalizing shit, the mainstream media doing this stuff. I think there is a level of truth to it, and there's a level of validity in said feelings. However, big fucking however, a lot of these people now have shifted to using Twitter as their source. And unfortunately, I've already explained earlier in this video why Twitter is problematic. It's because Twitter, you can just say anything. And the worst case scenario is maybe you'll get community noted. And the community notes often, like, take like a day or two to verify anyways. Like, they're very slow with the community notes. But it doesn't matter. No one is willing to do their due diligence or look into shit anymore. They'll just see something in their Twitter feed and they'll go, oh, that's a fact. That's true. That's a majority of people now. People have such a low attention span nowadays that they'll see, like, right-wing garbage in their feed and they automatically say that it's a fact and it's true. And they don't do their due diligence and they don't look past, like, 3 fucking steps beyond it.
And shut out any and all thought and just have the hive mind think for them. It is crazy because it seems like the only actual belief of some of these fucking brainwashed drones is relentless cock gobbling. All they want to do...
I mean, really, like, MAGA is just, like, boiling down to sucking the cocks of billionaires, really. I mean, you have Elon Musk who can fucking take out a loan against his net worth and he doesn't have to pay taxes for that loan, like... That's more of a threat than illegal immigration. Like, a lot of people think that illegal immigration is a big threat. Elon Musk is a threat to America every single day just by him constantly being able to dodge the tax system and not being able to pay loans. Or, I mean, not being able to pay taxes when he takes out loans against his net worth. So,
is swallow boots and penis from the government. So if the administration or the news, which they used to hate the news, but now that the news just parrots points from big government that they like to clap their hands at like seals, they now just trust all of it all of a sudden, even though there's been no big change with these mainstream media outlets, by the way, that they used to not trust only a year and a half ago. But now, anytime they hear something from the news or anything that comes from the government, they will just immediately accept without a second thought, and then attack anyone else that is...
Well, yeah, because it follows their agenda. And again, the narrative is dominantly in the right. So they're not going to push back against anything because they decided to vote for this and they, like, again, it's a victim complex and they get to live in their victim complex. And if you're a right-wing grifter online, you get to make a lot of money off of doing so. And it's with very little effort on top of that.
Saying differently, or even...
Because let's be real, a lot of right-wing grifters online, like if you look at Kirsch or something, they were probably bullied in like high school or something, and they were probably bullied elsewhere, and so they just want to be a pick-me to make money, and also... Well, one, because it's easy money, and two, because they're not going to be accepted anywhere else in life, and they haven't been accepted anywhere else, so they just decide to pivot to like right-wing victim complex echo chambers.
Just probing them to maybe think a little bit more about the narratives. Keep in mind, the government themselves are currently not even complying with their own laws that Trump has signed, like the Epstein Transparency Act, where the DOJ is still...
Well, the reason why they're not complying with the Epstein Transparency Act is because when the Epstein Transparency Act was written, there was no penalties written on that. So Trump and his administration looked at that and went, okay, what's stopping us from just not following through on it? There's no punishment listed on it. What are you gonna do? And so they just didn't do it. And again, the goal is to try to filibuster as much as possible to try to not reveal to the public that Trump is a fucking pedophile on the Epstein list. And to try to filibuster that as much as possible so Trump can stay in office as long as possible.
Putting up a fight and are over a month late to compliance with releasing the Epstein files. They are still fighting tooth and nail to not release them, and even recently, only a week ago, outright said maybe there's no court that can force them to order this. They didn't even say maybe. I gave them a very charitable thing right there. They actually said courts can't force them to do this, and that if they don't comply, there's nothing anyone can do. They can't be sued. If the DOJ doesn't comply, go fuck yourself, pussy. That's basically their sentiment. They are not complying with their own fucking laws, and yet people are still willing to
Well, yeah, again, like, there was no penalty on the Epstein Transparency Act, and so there was no incentive to release the files, or to even comply with it, because nothing was going to happen to them.
Look that in order to just keep, like, playing for the same team. It's like it's a competition to see who can think the least, and who can regurgitate enough from the hive mind to be, like, the biggest super fan of their side. It's fucking...
Yeah, and then you have Asmongold, who constantly makes excuses for Trump and says, just because Trump was on the island doesn't mean he raped kids. And then he, like, sides with people like Nick Fuentes, and he's aligning himself more with Nick Fuentes and Sneeko. Sneeko, again, has ran hard defense for child marriage for the past several years, saying it's okay for 13-year-olds and 21-year-olds to get married as long as the 13-year-old went through puberty. It's morally acceptable to him. And then you have Nick Fuentes, who says that, like, 15 and 16-year-olds are basically adults, and it's not technically pedophilia, and he plays semantics about what Jeffrey Epstein did in an effort to downplay what he did, just to push the agenda that, oh, the real issue is the fact that Jews were on Epstein Island. That's the real issue, according to Nick Fuentes.
Despicable. It's actually crazy. This is real sheep behavior. I know a lot of these people like to say sheep.
Oh, it absolutely is. To run defense for whatever their agenda is. Every time I make a short criticizing Asmongold, it doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what I criticize him for. I'm willing to bet Asmongold fans are more batshit crazy than Assange fans. They are way more rabid. They have, like, I've had Asmongold fans call me slurs several times every time I've criticized Asmongold. And... like, they are so rabid. Like, one of them literally threatened to, like, fucking punch my teeth out in the comments section of one of my shorts. I'm not even kidding. Like, you talk about people being like, oh, the left is so emotional and all this stuff. Right-wing people are like, the most emotional motherfuckers ever. They are incredibly emotional and incredibly violent. They're, like, projecting. You can see, like, the fucking veins pop out of their necks every time they talk, and they're so angry.
Sheep for the longest time, but now they are actually the epitome of that. Here's just a little...
Yeah, it's a cult. The MAGA's a cult, and it's a victim complex.
Thought experiment, if you can break through the programming for a second. Imagine what's happening in Minnesota was happening under Obama or Biden, where there were masked agents...
Again, it's a double standard. It's a double standard. Anything that the left does, anything remotely left, that anything they do, virtue signal, be like, this is insane. Anything the right does, oh, we can excuse it. It's not that big of a deal. They downplay it. You know, it's a double standard. They don't care. They don't actually have any legitimate values. They virtue signal out the fucking wazoo because it makes them money. They don't care. They're like total fucking conservative, cum-guzzling, blinded morons.
That were constantly surveilling you, and even at times asking for your papers, your documents to prove you're an American citizen. Constantly needing to provide your private information to these masked agents. And these agents also had killed 2 American citizens. What do you think your response would be? Would you be like, oh yes, please, everyone needs to comply with this. This is good. This is what I want. This is what I look for in Obama or Biden. This is what I'm happy about. Would you be as excited then as you are now in that scenario? My guess would be probably not, because you would rightfully view this as an infringement on your rights as an American. Your Second Amendment right, where apparently even carrying a gun now is a crime punishable by death. Like,
That is actually a good point. I didn't even think of that. Like, a lot of conservatives will run defense for the Second Amendment. And listen, the Second Amendment is like a whole other debate. Like, we could have a whole conversation about the Second Amendment. I'm open to arguments about keeping the Second Amendment or, like, adding more restrictions to getting a gun. We can have a whole conversation about that. But the point being is that a lot of conservatives run defense for the Second Amendment. But now, the fucking goalpost has shifted, where now the Second Amendment is, I guess, punishable by death. And conservatives will run defense for that now. Because it's convenient to them. It's convenient to run defense for this shit.
This isn't something anyone should be championing for, but because it's become such like a team-focused sport, people delude themselves into thinking that they have to support this, and thus they will abandon all of their beliefs in order to stay on this side. It's crazy to me. I truly don't even know what the solution here is, because people are just willingly, on their own accord, no longer trusting what they see and what they know to be true. They would rather just have the government tell them what to think and what's true.
I think this ties back to the religion argument. It's just an appeal to the authority of the government, despite not being able, like, not wanting to trust the government. Don't believe what the media tells you. Don't believe what the government tells you. But now it's like this appeal to authority, and it also ties back to the appeal to authority for a lot of religious people, because again, like, religion is very synonymous with right-wingers. Where they like appeal, they use God as like an appeal to authority on what is morally okay and what is morally not okay. And so they'll appeal to the authority with God saying that like, oh, you know, like it's okay for children to get married because the Bible says so. 12-year-olds should be forced to give birth because the Bible says so. Oh, gay people are sinners and they deserve to go to hell because the Bible says so. It's this, like, dumb appeal to authority that they, like, constantly rely on because it's a hive mind. A lot of the Conservative Party is just not very smart right now. When you really think about it, like, a lot of people that voted for Trump are either misguided, like, ill-informed completely, or they're just flat out fucking stupid, and they don't want to think for themselves. It is a hive mind. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit.
So that way they don't have to do any level of thought for their own. How do you fix that? I genuinely do not know. I have no idea. I don't know how you can watch this footage and multiple angles of this situation and still come out trusting the government's word on the series of events that unfolded when you can yourself watch the footage and prove them false. What do you do to someone that just refuses to at least try and see things clearly? I don't know. But it's fucking tragic, and it's only getting worse. It is so fucking out of control. I had to yap about this. I've been actually fuming all day.
Same. I feel that.
So yeah, that's really about it. So yeah.
All right, W Moist Critical video, honestly. Like, I'm happy that he's been calling out MAGA more, really. Like, we need it for someone who has a big of a platform as Moist Critical does.